All right, let's dive into a story that's absolutely epic. We're talking about a rivalry that shaped an entire era. For 300 years, right in the heart of southern India, two incredible empires, the Chalukyas and the Pallavas, were locked in this relentless back-and-forth struggle for control. But here's the thing. This was so much more than just conquering land. This was a clash of cultures, a race for artistic glory, and a competition that, paradoxically, built as much as it destroyed. And the coolest part? It left behind a legacy we can still literally reach out and touch today.
So, here's our roadmap for this explainer. First, we're going to set the stage for this massive power struggle. Then, we'll get into the good stuff, the legendary kings, the epic battles at the heart of the conflict. After that, we'll see how they actually built their empires, how they competed through culture and religion, and finally, how they left behind this absolutely breathtaking legacy carved in solid stone.
Okay, I want you to picture the Deccan Plateau. Around the 6th century, there's a power vacuum, a void just waiting to be filled. And into this void, two incredibly ambitious dynasties rise up to claim it. Both of them believe they are destined to rule, that it's their right. You can already see where this is going, right? This single belief sets the stage for a 300-year-long conflict where fortunes would turn on a dime, capitals would be sacked and burned to the ground, and kings would literally die in battle.
So let's meet our contenders. First up, coming out of modern-day Karnataka, we have the Chalukyas. Their founder, a guy named Pulakeshin I, performs this great horse sacrifice, a huge deal back then, to declare his sovereignty, and he establishes their legendary capital at Badami. Now, to their south, in what was called the Land of Creepers, rise the Pallavas. Their capital, Kanchi, becomes this shining beacon of learning and trade. So you've got both dynasties, secure in their own homelands, both getting stronger, and both hungry for more. A collision wasn't just likely, it was absolutely inevitable.
You know, this conflict wasn't just a clash of faceless armies. It was a deeply personal drama. It was driven by some of the most charismatic, brilliant, and ambitious kings in all of Indian history. Their personal pride, their egos, their thirst for glory, that's what really fueled the flames of this legendary rivalry.
The rivalry truly explodes with one man, Pulakeshin II. This guy was a brilliant Chalukya king, and he achieves the unthinkable. He stops the mighty northern emperor Harsha dead in his tracks at the Narmada River. Nobody thought it could be done. With the north secure, he turns his gaze south and just crushes the Pallavas and their king, Mahendravarman I. For years, it seemed like the Chalukyas were absolutely invincible, but the Pallavas were patient. Mahendravarman's son, whose nickname was the Great Wrestler, Narasimhavarman, he just bided his time, building his strength. Then, in 642 AD, he unleashes his revenge. He marches on the Chalukya capital, kills Pulakeshin in battle, and sacks the city. In one single, brutal campaign, the tables had turned completely.
So, you might be wondering, how do we know all these details with such confidence? Well, the Chalukyas were absolute masters of what we'd call public relations. At a place called Aihole, a court poet carved this magnificent eulogy in Sanskrit, a prashasti for Pulakeshin II. It masterfully boasts about the victory over Harsha, and it even has this clever play on words, claiming the battle turned Harsha's joy, his name, into sorrow. It's an incredible piece of propaganda carved in stone to last for eternity.
But here's where it gets really amazing. This wasn't just some empty boast. We have independent confirmation. The famous Chinese pilgrim Xuanzang, who is traveling through India at that exact time, wrote in his own accounts that Emperor Harsha failed to conquer this powerful southern kingdom. I mean, this is a historian's dream. You have a local claim, a boast, that is perfectly backed up by a foreign source. It cements this incredible victory as a hard historical fact. Just amazing.
Now, think about it. Constant warfare is incredibly expensive. You have to raise huge armies, you have to feed them, you have to pay them. That requires a powerful, well-organized state to collect taxes and manage resources. So it turns out these warrior kings were also master administrators. The sheer pressure of their rivalry forced both dynasties to innovate, to create these really sophisticated systems of government to manage their growing empires from the very top all the way down to the smallest village.
And when you compare them side by side, you see some fascinating differences. Sure, both had a king at the top, but they expressed their royal identity differently. The Chalukyas chose the wild boar, a symbol of the god Vishnu, while the Pallavas used the bull, a symbol of Shiva. Their local governments also diverged, with the Pallavas empowering local village assemblies, a kind of grassroots governance. But look at this last row, the role of royal women. This is striking. A Chalukya princess could actually rule a province as a governor, wielding direct political power.
Meanwhile, in the Pallava kingdom, a queen's influence was more often channeled through cultural patronage, funding temples, sponsoring poets and artists. Two very different but equally powerful models of female influence.
Now, one of the most ingenious Pallava innovations was a system for managing the most crucial resource of all, water. They created something called iripati, which literally means tank land. Here's how it worked. When a piece of land was donated under this category, all the revenue it generated went to one and only one purpose: maintaining the village's irrigation tank. I mean, in an agrarian society totally dependent on farming, this was brilliant. It created a self-sustaining public works program that ensured the entire community had the water it needed to survive and thrive. It's just a perfect testament to their advanced administrative thinking.
You see, this rivalry extended far, far beyond the battlefield. It became a cultural contest, a war fought with poetry, with faith, and with patronage. Both dynasties understood that true, lasting power wasn't just about military might, it was about projecting cultural superiority. So they poured enormous resources into religion and literature, transforming their capitals into these glittering centers of art and learning, with each side desperately trying to outshine the other.
And when it came to religion, their philosophies were worlds apart. The Chalukyas, they were pragmatic, they were pluralistic, they supported Vaishnavism, Saivism, and even Jainism. In fact, their greatest king's court poet was a Jain. The Pallavas, on the other hand, went through this incredibly dramatic religious revolution. Their king, Mahendravarman I, was a devout Jain, until he met the Saiva Saint Appar. The king's conversion wasn't just a personal choice, it was a seismic event for the whole kingdom. Royal patronage swung entirely to Saivism, and some accounts even suggest he turned on his former faith, persecuting Jains. It was a move that forever changed the religious fabric of the South.
This cultural competition sparked a literary firestorm. The Pallava capital of Kanchi just blossomed. It became a great university, a major hub for Sanskrit learning that some contemporaries said even rivaled the legendary Nalanda in the north. The Pallava king himself was a playwright. Imagine that. Of course, the Chalukyas weren't about to be outdone. They cultivated their own masters of Sanskrit poetry. But, and this is so important, they also did something crucial. They championed the local language, Kannada, fostering this vibrant bilingual culture that celebrated both the classical pan-Indian Sanskrit and the beloved regional tongue. So this brings us to the grand finale, the most spectacular, the most enduring legacy of their entire 300-year rivalry. What happens when you combine immense wealth, deep religious faith, and a relentless, burning desire to one-up your enemy? Well, you get an explosion of architectural genius. This is where their competition is immortalized, not in words on a page, but in solid stone for the entire world to see.
You can literally watch this architectural arms race play out in 3 distinct stages. First, the Pallava king Mahendravarman pioneers this incredible new idea, carving pillared halls, or mandapas, directly out of solid rock faces. Then, his son takes it to a whole new level. He ups the ante by sculpting entire temple complexes, the famous rathas, from single, massive boulders at Mahabalipuram. It's an astonishing feat of artistry and engineering. But the Chalukyas saw the future. They moved on to master the structural temple, building vast, complex structures stone by painstaking stone. It was this clear, logical progression, with each dynasty pushing the other to new, unbelievable architectural heights.
And the result of all this competitive building? Well, it's a legacy that is now celebrated globally. These aren't just ancient ruins collecting dust. These are UNESCO World Heritage Sites. They are recognized as treasures belonging to all of humanity. From the Pallava monuments at Mahabalipuram to the Chalukya temples at Badami and Pattadakal, these architectural wonders are the direct, tangible outcome of their centuries-long struggle for supremacy. You can literally go and stand inside their rivalry.
So, what is the ultimate takeaway from all this? I mean, it's really tempting to look at 3 centuries of war and just see destruction. But the story of the Chalukyas and the Pallavas is so much more nuanced than that. Their rivalry acted as this incredibly powerful creative engine. The constant need to be better, to be richer, to be more culturally sophisticated than their opponent fueled this unbelievable burst of innovation in art, in administration, and in architecture. It's a paradox, right? Their constant conflict actually created a culture of excellence.
And this leaves us with a final big question. When nations, empires, and ideas clash, what truly endures? For the Chalukyas and Pallavas, the answer is written all across the Deccan landscape, carved into mountainsides and assembled in timeless, beautiful temples. Their wars are long over, their kings are dust, but their magnificent creations remain.
And it really forces us to ask ourselves, what legacies, beautiful or otherwise, will our own modern-day rivalries leave behind for the future to judge?